The Silent Revolution, Reclaiming Your Soul After a Lifetime of Giving It Away. I want to begin today by honoring someone whose quiet courage has fundamentally shifted how I understand strength. When I first sat down with Debrallina Reed, I expected to hear a story of triumph, how this remarkable woman who became a mother at 16, raised her children, then helped raise her grandchildren, had finally made it to her season of self fulfillment. What I heard instead shook me to my core. Even after decades of nurturing and putting others first, Debrallina told me, her voice steady but vulnerable, I still find myself unsure of what it truly means to live for myself. That confession, so honest, so raw, stopped me in my tracks. Because Debrallina Reed isn't just sharing a personal struggle, she's illuminating a profound truth that our society desperately needs to hear, that when you've spent your entire life being defined by how well you care for others, discovering who you are beyond those roles isn't just challenging. It can feel like walking into an abyss without a map. This isn't just Debralina's story. This is the unspoken reality for millions of women, particularly Black women, who have built their entire identities around caring for others, only to find themselves asking, who am I when I'm not taking care of someone else? Let's be honest with ourselves for a moment. Our culture celebrates the selfless mother, the tireless grandmother, the community caretaker who gives and gives without complaint. We put these women on pedestals. We call them strong. We praise their sacrifice, but we rarely ask at what cost, and we almost never prepare them for what comes after. The truth is, we've created a culture that equates a woman's worth, especially a Black woman's worth, with how much she can endure, how much she can give, how completely she can erase her own needs in service to others. And then we act surprised when these women struggle to prioritize themselves later in life. But here's what Debralina Reed taught me through her gentle wisdom. It's never too late to start learning who you are outside the roles you've played for others, even if that self discovery feels unfamiliar at first, even if it makes you uncomfortable, even if you have to unlearn decades of putting yourself last. This isn't selfish. This is necessary. This is healing. This is revolutionary. Because when women who have spent their lives caring for others finally turn that care inward, something extraordinary happens, not just for them, but for generations to come. I want to share with you the story of an organization that understands this deeply. Black Women's Blueprint, founded in Brooklyn by women who recognized their stories had been centered on survival rather than self actualization. These women, many of whom were young mothers themselves, realized they'd never learned how to put themselves first. They wanted more for themselves and for future generations. So they created healing circles focused on storytelling where members could safely explore their identities beyond motherhood or caretaking roles. One participant told me the first time I said out loud that I wanted something just for me, not for my kids, not for my community, just for me. I broke down crying. I didn't know I was allowed to want things. The impact was profound. Women reported not just increased confidence, but a fundamental shift in how they viewed their own worth. They developed national advocacy campaigns centering Black women's healing journeys. They influenced policy discussions about trauma informed care. Most importantly, they helped shift narratives around what it means to be a strong Black woman, from one of constant sacrifice to one of holistic well being. This is what generational healing looks like. By acknowledging our own needs and modeling self care, We help break cycles where women sacrifice themselves entirely for family. We show future generations another way. As the poet Nayira Wahid writes, and I said to my body softly, I want to be your friend. It took a long breath and replied, I have been waiting my whole life for this. This friendship with ourselves doesn't come easily when we've been taught that our value lies in serving others. It requires intention, it requires community, it requires examples. That's exactly what Kelly Joy Richardson Lawson understood when she launched the Sisterhood Sit In Project in Atlanta. This initiative brought together multi generational groups of Black mothers, including those who became parents as teens, to discuss life after raising children. The women who participated shared feelings of being lost once kids left home. Many had always prioritized family above all else due to early motherhood responsibilities. Through monthly gatherings, they created space for reflection on personal dreams deferred and found encouragement from peers navigating similar transitions into living for myself. One woman in her 60s shared, I spent 40 years raising everyone else. When my youngest grandchild started school, I literally sat in my living room for 3 days, not knowing what to do with myself. Who was I if not someone's caretaker? The outcomes were remarkable. Women reported renewed motivation to pursue education, entrepreneurship, travel, or hobbies previously set aside while raising children and grandchildren. The project expanded citywide and inspired similar groups nationwide focused on empowering older mothers and grandmothers through mutual aid and mentorship programs. Lawson herself was inspired by her mother, a former teen mom who struggled with finding purpose post parenting, but ultimately thrived through sisterhood support networks. This is how healing happens in community through story with gentle accountability. As Debrallina Reed shared with me, gentleness is strength. Embracing a gentle spirit, one that seeks understanding over judgment, can foster deeper connections with ourselves and those around us. This gentleness is particularly important when we're unlearning patterns that have been reinforced for decades. The guilt that comes with prioritizing ourselves can be overwhelming. The fear that we're somehow failing our families by having needs of our own can be paralyzing. Dr. Thema Bryant Davis, an award winning psychologist whose work focuses on helping Black women recover from trauma, sees this struggle regularly in her practice. Her clients often battle guilt when attempting self care because they've internalized messages equating worthiness with service to children, family, and community. Through her work, Dr. Brian Davis teaches practical tools like affirmations, boundaries, and self compassion exercises tailored specifically for formerly full time caregivers. Thousands have found clarity about living authentically beyond caretaker identities, with many reporting improved mental health and life satisfaction. One of her clients, a 58-year-old grandmother, shared, I used to think taking time for myself was stealing from my family. Now I understand that filling my own cup isn't just allowed, it's necessary if I want to truly be present for the people I love. Dr. Brian Davis was raised watching her mother pour everything into family and church at her own expense. A cycle she now helps others break through her clinical work and public speaking. As president elect of the American Psychological Association and author of books guiding readers toward wholeness, she has sparked national conversation about cultural barriers facing African American caregivers, seeking fulfillment beyond traditional roles. The most revolutionary thing a woman can do, author Glennon Doyle reminds us, is not explain herself. Yet, for women who have spent decades explaining, justifying, and accommodating, learning to simply exist for themselves can feel like the most radical act imaginable. This is the journey Debrallina Reed is on. It's a journey of reclamation, of rediscovery, of revolutionary self love. And it's a journey that requires both courage and compassion. Courage to step into the unknown of self discovery after decades of knowing exactly who you were in relation to others. Compassion for the inevitable missteps along the way. The affirmation that has guided Debralina through this process is powerful in its simplicity. I am worthy of my own care. 5 words that challenge a lifetime of putting others first. 5 words that open the door to possibility. What would our world look like if every woman who has spent her life caring for others believed this? What would change if we created cultures that celebrated not just women's capacity to give, but their right to receive? What healing might be possible across generations? These aren't abstract questions. They're questions with profound implications for our families, our communities, and our collective future. Because when women who have been caretakers learn to care for themselves, they don't stop caring for others. They simply bring a fuller, more authentic self to that care. They model healthier relationships, they demonstrate boundaries, they show that love doesn't require self erasure. I want to leave you today not just with inspiration, but with a challenge to question the narratives we've internalized about strength, about sacrifice, about what it means to be worthy of care. Look around you. Who are the caretakers in your life? The mothers, the grandmothers, the nurturers who have given everything to everyone else. Ask yourself, how am I reinforcing the idea that their worth comes from what they give rather than who they are? And if you are that caretaker, if you're like Debrallina Reed, wondering what it means to live for yourself after decades of living for others, I want you to hear this. Your journey to self discovery isn't selfish, it's sacred, it isn't indulgent, it's essential. Tonight, I challenge you to ask yourself this question: what would it look like if I gave myself the same grace, the same tenderness, the same fierce protection that I've so freely given to others? This question isn't just for women who've been caretakers, it's for all of us who've been taught that our worth lies in what we do rather than who we are. Because the revolution begins with this radical truth: you were worthy before you did a single thing for anyone else. And reclaiming that worthiness isn't just your right, it's your responsibility. The world doesn't need more martyrs, it needs more whole people. People who understand that self care isn't a luxury, it's the foundation of every authentic relationship, every meaningful contribution, every lasting change. So start today. Start small if you need to, but start, because your journey of self discovery isn't just for you, it's for everyone who will be inspired by your courage to finally, unapologetically, gloriously live for yourself. Thank you.